Playback, The Lost Tapes. Originally written and voiced by Musical Pumpkin. This story was first told to me by my father when he was a young man of barely 23 summers. One day he would look up from his busy farm work and see German tanks crossing the border. Europe did still bear the scars of the First World War. It didn't yet know that the Second would open those scars once again. It was from this day forward my father's life would be forever changed. He would soon take up arms and join the French resistance. It was when he joined them that my father told me a pivotal point in his story. He said, "My dear son, there is more in this world than meets the eye. I have seen it. I have stared into its eyes. I have felt its houndish breath upon my face, its teeth dripping with crimson." My father and his compatriots were eventually tasked with discovering the goings-on in regards to an old church the Germans had moved into. It wasn't visually important at first, but it was patrolled like a depot. But sources told them it wasn't a depot. There are trucks going in and out, all throughout the week. To top it off, it was heavily guarded. Nevertheless, the church had to be taken from German hands. A plan was put together, and one night the plan was put in motion. He would go on to say that he was surprised the plan mostly worked. As it would turn out, the Germans were not using it as a depot. No, it was something else. With the grace of God, my father and two others breached the lab with little spectacle. To their surprise, the floor was covered in dead Germans. In this carnage, the air was rank with the stench of death. Descending into the area below the church, they would find a lab. It was clear to my father that whatever was there was long gone. Inside the lab were many machines and devices. But what was there was evil. The following day, my father would learn that the German presence where he lived would be increasing. The reason? A whole German patrol was found dead the previous night, all of them torn to pieces. During the night, it was late and my father heard sporadic gunfire and screams. My father ran outside, and down the road he saw a German soldier, scared insane and running away from something. Suddenly, something large rushed after the soldier. It was fast, faster than eyes could follow. It ran the man down in a bloody mess. Foolishly, my father ran after it. When he finally got close, he stood before a tall, dog-like beast. Its eyes were piercing and let out a low growl that shook my father to his soul. It charged him. Stopping short of my father's face, it loomed over him, standing over 10 feet tall, with long claws and death-stained fangs. Without warning, the beast leapt from the street onto a nearby rooftop. Afterwards, it was quiet. But alas, that would end as the morning dawn would be preceded by another dead patrol. My father wasn't quite sure what he saw that night, but the street with the mangled German bodies was not a trick of his eyes. All throughout the week, the killings continued. More patrols were found maimed and dead. A high-ranking officer was eventually killed as well, as were over a dozen guards. The event had unfolded at the town hall. My father was awoken by a clatter of trucks and other vehicles rushing down the road. When they arrived at the town hall, the dog thing was waiting for them. My father never witnessed it himself, but he was close enough to hear it. A battle happened there, and the Germans lost. The town hall would burn down in the aftermath, and the monster was never heard from again. Sometime later, the Allies would begin their invasion of Europe, and eventually this would include the liberation of his town from German occupation. My father only told me the story once. To this day, I am unsure as to the reason why. There was little information on what was happening at that church. I suspect the officer at the town hall may have been related to it, given his elevated rank. I am not even certain the Americans knew. It is 40 years later, and there are still so many questions. As my father raised me, I noticed my father, after tucking me in for bed, he would take a rifle and sit on the porch. This would only be on nights with a full moon. I couldn't begin to describe what my father encountered that night. The Germans dabbled in something, and in their arrogance they paid the price. God only knows what they were digging around in during the war. Who knows how much is still being dug up. I will never forget the expression on my father's face. His eyes burned into me as he was back on that road, staring into the eyes of that beast.